Hi and welcome to the Monday Live, and we're talking qubits, and we're actually finishing off Slam May this Monday, as it were, because we are bank holidaying next week. We are bank holidaying, so there's no live on the Monday, and in fact I travel up north on Monday. I travel up north to Newcastle. I'm actually staying hopefully in Alnwick, so that's at the Swan Hotel, which we're going to be using for the event in October. So I'm going to stay there, have a little look around, and then I go to the ship in Newcastle, and I'm going to do a short round Scotland cruise, which should be fun. Hopefully, if the weather's good anyway, that should be quite a nice trip. 7 or 8 days on the Balmoral. And later on, actually, I think we have an Irish cruise, if I remember. I'm just having a quick check. Yes, Ingrid is going around Ireland. So we've got our fair share of sort of local cruises, shall we say, as well as the fun of going to Iceland or to the fjords or down to the hotter slots down in the bottom. So plenty going on. So Slam A finishes. What do we go on to after Slam A? Let me have a look. We are disrupting declarer, so back to defence, I'm afraid, for those of you who are less inclined to put the hard work in. Yes, so June we are defending again, and then July we go back to some teams fun. We tend to do teams in July. Yeah, we've got quite a good set of seminars coming up. Fridays we are still on suit establishment. We've been looking at some interesting suits. Let's introduce some trumps into the equation, which really changes things up a little, because it gives you obviously so much easier way of developing tricks. Today we will have our 5-level decision, which hangs over from Friday. We will look at more Q bidding, some really interesting questions that came in. So thank you for your questions and your hands and various things. And I wanted to deal with some of those. So those were people who had looked at the big seminar themselves and were left with various queries. So we will look at those today. And then we will have the bidding quiz at the end, and of course for those of you of a beginner's novice inclination, or just fancy being tickled, we are going to be doing novice signalling. We're going to look at some signals for the novices, so that's how we will finish. In terms of the holidays aboard, etc., we've still got our general denim batch of events that we do regularly. I do one every 3 or 4 months there, but there's one every month actually. So if you do fancy that, you're welcome. And we've also got a gourmet event down there in I was going to say Brighton, but it's not. It's in Worthing, the Ardington, which is the only event we do in Worthing now. We used to do a lot of events, didn't we? But that's another story. Unfortunately, the hotel that we use there doesn't do evening meals anymore, the Chatsworth. So everything has changed after COVID. So for those of you who have been asking why we're not there, they can't have us, as it were. I suppose we could change the way we do events, but that's in the matter. Okay, what else have I got on my list? Not anything, so I'm going to go here. Let's go here and see what we can find out. Bear with me where it clicks in. Okay, this was the 5-level decision that we're going to leave as a hangover, so have a think about this one. It's quite interesting, I think. South opens the bidding. South is vulnerable and opens 1 heart. West overcalls 3 spades, that's your partner, with a very preemptive bid, but unfortunately North bids 4 hearts. You decide to bid 4 spades, so that is not the question, I'm afraid. That's the easy part. I think 4 spades is relatively easy. Unfortunately, you have another decision to make, and that's what I'm asking you to make now. So in 1 heart, 3 spades from partner, 4 hearts, 4 spades from you. You decided to do that. Whether you would have done or not, I don't know, but you did. And it's worked in the sense that they've bid 5 hearts. But now you've got another decision to make, I'm afraid. You are non-vulnerable against vulnerable opponents. So have a think about that. As with many of the 5-level decisions, there is no defined answer. All we're looking at is trying to get an answer that perhaps will win 60% of the time. We'd love it to be 70%, maybe 80%, but you'll never find a 100% answer on any of these hands. Well, unless your opponents have made a silly bid, that's slightly different. But having said that, you can never be sure it is a silly bid until afterwards and you realise you could have got 1100. We've all been there, you know, where you think, oh, they must have this for their bid. And it turns out they haven't got that for their bid. Okay, let's look at the topic. So we are doing more cue bidding is what we've been focused on, but there's been some questions and they've come in specifically from Stephen Hughes and Jeff Woodcock with some very similar questions and really interesting ones. And one of the things they were sort of mentioning was they're sort of suggesting, yeah, Bernard, you've covered some of the precise and easier hands. What when it's not so easy and it's not so precise? So we're going to look at some of those. So to start it, let's just remind ourselves what the cue bidding is, etc. A quick little reminder. Something that's going to come up throughout today is that we do not cue bid for the sake of cue bidding. So 6-no trumps requires 33 points, but for big suit slams, you expect to need 30 or more total point. So when a player makes a cue bid, for the most part, they are suggesting that there are 30 or more total points between you. And I'll come back to that in a second. And that's really important. As I often have to say here, for those of you who play Gerber, if you don't fancy cue bidding, that's fine. But if you want to try cue bidding, you need your 4 clubs bid for a cue bid. And so it does mean you have to slightly maneuver things around. So a reminder of cue bidding then. A cue bid is basically a way of showing that you can win either the first or the second round of a suit. And as we're going to see, that's, you know, the reason we need that is because when I bid blackward, I want to be able to bid the slam when I am missing 1 key card. So if I'm missing 1 ace, I want to bid a slam. And what that means is I need to know that we don't have a small doubleton in one suit and 3 small in the other. Someone needs to have a control in every suit. Okay, does that make sense? So long as we've got an ace or a king or a singleton or void in every suit, then if we're missing 1 ace, if we've got the strength for slam, it's not unreasonable to go for it. And that's important. And this is what I say here. If you identify that you've got 30 or more points in a big fit, the next thing to say to yourself is, do we have control of every suit? Okay, and if you have, go ahead and bid blackward. That's what blackward's for. Any form, whenever you play key card blackward, Roman key card, or normal blackward, whatever blackward you use, that's what it's for. The only thing I would say is if you play normal blackward without the king of trumps, it's very difficult to bid slams accurately, because clearly if you're missing 1 ace, you could be missing the king of trumps as well. So I do prefer it to include the king of trumps. Don't worry about the queen, not particularly relevant, but the king of trumps is important. Okay. Now, if you have a void, that's different. We're not looking at that today. If you've got a void, you have to try and cue bid. But also, if you have a lack of control in a suit, you need to cue bid. Now, I say you need to. If you want to try to bid the slam accurately, you've got to try cue bidding. The last slide today is going to say that we try to bid accurately, but we're not always going to manage it. All we can do, it's very similar to bidding game contracts. Okay, now game contracts we probably get about 60% right. Slams we'd prefer to get 75% right. So we want to try and be a little bit more accurate. So we're going to make more effort. Game bidding, we often just say, look, we got 25 points, we got eight hearts, let's bid it. Okay. And actually you'd expect to go down probably 1 in 3 times. So, you know, whereas a slam, we want to be slightly better than that. We'd prefer to only go down maybe 1 in 4 times, etc. Remember, a suit can break 5-0 or 3 finesses can be wrong, so you can be in a good contract. Okay, so what are these difficult sequences? Well, one of the interesting things is this to remember is that when you've agreed suit and one of you's limited their hand, so let's take the classic example, and that's the example I'm going to use today. When the auction starts, 1 spade, 3 spades. Okay, I have limited my hand. I've said I've got 11 points. If my partner now Q-bids, he has taken the number of points I've shown him, added it to his hand, and he reckons that he has 30 or more total points. So I've got to trust him. Okay, so I've shown 11. He is suggesting 19 or more. Now, of course, that could include a void or whatever it is. He's totally adding up his strength. And he's saying, look, I am Q-bidding to say to you that if we have control of every suit, we should try for slam, i.e. bid backward. So as long as you trust each other and the partner isn't simply Q-bidding for the sake of Q-bidding, then you should both now be confident that you're in the slam zone. Does that make sense? Okay, because you've said what you've got, and assuming you've got your 11 points, you're in the slam zone. You are serious about slam. Okay, so let's look at this one. This is the one we saw last week, and it's a classic one, the easy one that's in, I say easy, I mean more straightforward than other ones, because this is a lovely Q-bidding auction that finishes just like that. Okay, that was me clicking my fingers actually. So 1 spade, 3 spades. West has got a gorgeous hand here, 17 high card points, a singleton, just 4 losers. He wants to go for slam, but he knows he needs a club control. So what he does is he makes a Q-bid, and here he Q-bid 4 diamonds, and that shows diamonds but denies clubs. And of course the partner was able to simply bid 4 spades because he had no control in clubs. So although East has wonderful hearts, he has heard his partner's bid. The 4 diamond bid shows the lowest control you have. So you always bid the lowest control. So if West had the king of clubs, as well as the ace, king, queen, jack of diamonds, he would still bid 4 clubs first. Okay, and of course he'd be doing it here. Maybe he'd had a doubleton heart or something like that. Remember, if West had no weak suits at all, okay, so king, doubleton, club in this hand, obviously he'd be too strong to open at the 1 level, but if he had the king clubs, he would have bid backward here. Okay, and would end up, if he had the king of clubs, bidding slam. Okay, he's weak in clubs, so he's thinking of Q-bidding. His 4 diamond bid shows that weakness. So we do not Q-bid for the sake of Q-bidding. So here, 4 diamonds is specific. It says everything. It says, partner, I have control in diamonds. I do not have control in clubs. I am excited about slam. I know you've got 11 points, but I think between us we've got enough to be in the slam zone. East does not simply respond 4 hearts because he thinks I've got lovely hearts. He listens, he realises there's nothing in clubs. However, let's have that same auction again. 1 spade, 3 spades, 4 diamonds. And this was the query that came in from both Stephen and Jeff. Okay, what on earth do we do here? So the hand that I showed in the seminar was slightly easier because I gave you the king of hearts in this hand instead of the queen jack. And what that meant was you had control in hearts and you had control in clubs. So you were able to respond 4 hearts, and you did that so the partner could bid backward because we love the strong hand to bid backward. Okay. However, what do you do with this hand? Okay. Well, you've got exactly what you've said when you bid 3 spades. And your partner has said, if you've got a normal 3 spade bid, which we have, I think there's a chance for slam. Okay. However, partner, I don't have club control. So your partner is serious about slam and he is missing club control. So assuming you trust your partner, I think you must here show your club control. Okay, Now, it's not ideal because it takes us past 4 no trumps. But our partner has said he believes there's a chance for slam. So I am going to show my ace of clubs with 5 clubs. Okay. And that's all I can do, and leave it up to partner beyond that. Okay. Now, if you had the king of clubs here, well, you'd be too weak. Okay. But if you had the king of clubs and the king of hearts, of course, you'd have been able to bid 4 hearts, which would have allowed partner to bid 4 no trumps. Okay. You need to show it. Blame your partner if you go too high. Okay. And the important thing here is that partner should have a hand that is hoping to make a slam. So let's see what he does have here. Okay. He has exactly the hand you've just seen. Okay, so we are bidding 5 clubs to say, partner, look, I think you're going to want to know about this. And actually, I think West here would probably jump to 6 spades. Of course, he can't now bid. Notice that West knows that East has denied hearts. So West denied clubs when he bid 4 diamonds. East has missed out hearts. So he does not have control in hearts, but he has got control in clubs. As I'll say at the end of this, it is not a perfect science. And there's no doubt we are not always going to make this slam. Those of you who want to fiddle around with cards, if I simply move the 2 of hearts to the 2 of clubs there, you won't quite make the slam. Okay. It'll turn out that, you know, you can't discard all the clubs, but clearly we are very close and we are doing our best to find the best slam we can. Clearly, again, if I move the Queen Jack of hearts to the King of clubs, okay, we will be making slam very comfortably. So I think it's not unreasonable for West to jump to 6 spades. They're hoping that either partner's got some useful other cards, which he could well have had. He could have had the ace queen of clubs, which would have given you at least a 50% chance. Or here, as you can see, it's a stone cold slam, because of course you'll be able to ruff a club, believe it or not, in the east hand, because you can discard 2 of those clubs on the ace king queen jack of diamonds. Okay. Take a bit of the strength away from the West hand, and West wouldn't have been able to go for the slam. Interestingly though, with ace king queen small diamond, you might have been in it. So it's not perfect. It is not a perfect science. And you've sort of got to accept that. What we're trying to do is bid as accurately as possible. So it's not an easy bid for East here. Okay, but East has to try. If partner is willing to say, I'm excited about slam, then we need to show that club control. Okay, now have a look at these 2. I've just changed a couple of cards around, if that's all right. So the West hand has a 19 count now, and obviously when it goes 1 spade, 3 spades is very excited. Okay, and I think you've got to try for slam, even though you have 2 very weak suits. You'd feel that if partner had a couple of aces, the ace of clubs and the ace of hearts, you'd be able to make a slam, maybe ace king ace, and you'd certainly be making slams. So you try 4 diamonds, and hopefully you're happy that West would come back 5 clubs. Partner, I've got exactly what I've said. I've got 11 points and I've got wonderful clubs. But of course, East has denied heart control. So then we finish in 5 spades. It's never nice to be in 5 spades, but you can see the huge strength between these 2 hands. It's not unreasonable to end up a little bit higher, and it turns out as long as we finish in 5 spades, we'll be okay. All right, I mean, I suppose on a bad day it'll go ace king and they'll try and get a ruff, but you should be at a ruff high here and even stop that. Okay, and you can see there's 11 tricks off the top, and you're almost always going to lose the ace and king of hearts. So you're trying to bid accurately here. So for example, if you bid Blackwood, one of you here, you're going to be missing just 1 ace, and I want to be in a slam. If I bid Blackwood and I find I'm missing just 1 key card, I bid the slam. So that's why Blackwood doesn't work on these kind of hands where you haven't got control in one of the suits. Okay, so tricky bids. Let's try one more. Okay, it goes 1 spade, 3 spades from you, 4 clubs. from your partner? What are you thinking? Well, this is an interesting one, this one. Okay, these are really tricky hands, all of them, and you know, and as a partnership, if you're playing as a partnership, have a chat, get on with them, have some fun though. Don't worry if they go wrong. Bear in mind that the auction can easily go 1 spade, 3 spades, 6 spades on some of these hands, you know, but surely trying to have a little chat and find out whether we think the slam works is not unreasonable. So here, your partner has said, I think there's a chance for slam. He has control in clubs. He's probably not got control of the other 2 suits. Well, you do have control of the other 2 suits. So I think that when my partner bids 4 clubs here, I think that I should be trying for slam with this hand. However, what's important is that I prefer the strong hand to do the Blackwood bidding. So I would start by bidding 4 diamonds here, showing the lowest control I have. Hopefully partner's got the king of hearts in his hand or a singleton heart and can then bid Blackwood, and almost always the stronger hand is better placed. However, look at what happens. You bid 4 diamonds and your partner bids 4 spades. Okay, now that's okay as far as I'm concerned. I still have to bid again because suddenly I'm thinking to myself, I know what my partner's got now. He's got a strong hand with at least 19 points in his hand because he said that he's in the slam range. He's 30 total points. And I think he's got no control in hearts. Okay. Now, we know we have control, so we have to do something. I don't like bidding Blackwood as the weaker, balanced hand. But here I think I've got to. I've got to trust my partner. My partner has said that he has enough to go for slam, knowing that I've got 11 points. Clearly, with control in diamonds and hearts, we could have bid Blackwood on the previous round, and if you prefer that, go for it. The problem I've got is there will be times that partner is so much better placed, particularly if there's some kind of grand slam on, for example, okay? But I'm going to trust my partner. He says there's 30 total points, we've got control of every suit, so I bid Blackwood. Okay, and there's your partner's hand. Okay, so your partner is indeed sitting with 19 points in a 5-card spade suit, so he's pretty excited here. Bear in mind, with the 5-card spade suit I'm adding a point on, so that's 31 points. He's got control in clubs and diamonds, but he always bids his lowest control. So he bid 4 clubs, we bid 4 diamonds, he signs off, which doesn't show any weaker hand. It just says, partner, I do not have control in hearts. Okay, so you then continue with 4 no trumps. At least the reason why we're not bidding 5 hearts in this auction is because at 4 no trumps we need to use, because we're bidding controls in either suits. Okay, so here I need 4 no trumps just to find out how many key cards we've got between us. Okay, and if we're only missing 1, I'll trust partner and go for it. Now, once again, this one I think is, you know, partner shows you 2 key cards and I would now bid 6 spades. It's not perfect. Now, this one is. It happens to make, but I think it just feels as if, my goodness, that's a bit lucky. Bear in mind, though, if your partner only had 18 points balanced here, he may well not go for the slam. And that's important. It's really important that the West hand has the strength. Whenever I'm balanced and I've got lots of queens and jacks, I'm always a bit worried. One of the hands I was sent in, funnily enough, had an example hand selected, and I suggested that the example hand wasn't quite good enough to try for slam because queens and jacks, or quacks as they're sometimes called, are not perfect for suit slams. We love them for no trumps, but we don't necessarily need them for suit slams. So you are looking for 19 sort of glorious points rather than, you know, cobbled together points. So bear that in mind. Remember, 30 is your minimum total points for a slam, particularly if you're balanced. So I think this is about minimum. Take the jack of diamonds away, whether he should be bidding, you know, but I could put the jack of diamonds in the jack of clubs and then we wouldn't make a slam. Although we would have if the diamonds broke 3-3, we'd have the chance. Here, it turns out that once you've drawn trumps, you can discard the heart from the west hand. So it's almost as if I've picked these hands. I don't, you know. So we're not always going to make. But I'm hoping that by having an accurate conversation like this, that we're going to get close to making most of the time. And we're aiming for a slam. You're sort of aiming for about 70-75% if you can. Games are going to be less than that. As I said earlier, games, you've got to bid aggressively to game and hopefully they'll go wrong. Also, do not forget that the dummy might come down. You might think, oh, well, not so good. But the defence will not always get things right. Okay? Hopefully we'll never be off two top tricks in a slam again anyway, because we're bidding Q bidding. But sometimes they might not take their aces at the right time. A finesse might work or something like that. Okay, you know, so if a slam is on a finesse, do not be embarrassed by it. Okay, you know, you're doing your best to get to a slam. Okay, so just to sum up what we've been talking about, slam bidding is not a precise art. It's as close as we can, but we see this when we bid normal hands to part scores. Sometimes you think, I wish I could bid this. Sorry, someone just saying they're worried about... Yeah, remember, really important this, Martin's saying he's worried about the 4 diamond bid in this auction. You mustn't worry about whether it's first or second round controls. That's the whole point of Italian Q bidding. Okay, you are bidding a control, you're building up to bidding Blackwood. That's really important. So what happens at some point in the auction, once you've found you have control of every suit, you then bid Blackwood. And if you're missing 2 aces, you then, of course, or 2 key cards, you know you cannot make a slam. Okay, and that's important. So the Q bidding part of it is not the defining element of whether we bid to slam or not. However, what I will say is when you bid at the 5 level, I would tend to prefer that to show the ace, if it's the first bid in the suit, as it were, if it's a Q bidding. Because obviously you then know that you cannot bid Blackwood. Okay, so when a Q bid is at the 5 level, it's the first time a suit's been betted, it's often used, so 1 spade, 4 spades, if you decide that it's obviously unusual in the auction, but let's pretend it's 1 spade, 4 spades. Maybe 1 spade, 4 hearts overcall, 4 spades. If you bid 5 clubs here, that would be a Q bid, and you're a strong hand, and I would suggest that would be the ace, because you've gone past Blackwood. But Q bidding at the 4 level is specifically designed to see if you've got control of every suit. And if you have got control of every suit, bid out, bring out the Blackwood. If you've got 4 out of 5 key cards, you go for slam. That is what Blackwood is all about. Okay, you don't find out you're only missing 1 and then think, shall I, shan't I? You've got to be positive. Okay, if you've decided you've got the strength for slam and you're only missing 1 key card and you've got control of every suit, bid the slam and hopefully you'll have some fun doing it. When you first start doing this, of course, things are going to go wrong, and I've been sent in a few where things have gone wrong. I've been sent in a few where people have gone wrong, bid the slam, and still made it. And I've also seen some. Missed grand slams. Remember, if you've got all of the key cards, then there can be the potential of a grand slam. Less likely in the auctions I've been showing you, because the auctions have sort of been defined by a limit bid. So there's been one showing 11 and the other one's had about 19. Obviously, if you've got an auction where neither of you have expressed, so for example, the jack would be 2 no trumps. Example, 1 spade, 2 no trumps. Partner, I've got a fit if you play that way. 1 spade, 2 no trumps. Then, of course, neither player's limited their hands, and you can, of course, cubid, find you've got all the key cards, and then look for a grand slam by bidding 5 no trumps. Okay. So have fun bidding your slams. This is our, we've still got plenty of days left in May, so please do send in some more slam hands, but we haven't got a Monday next week, don't forget. Well, we have got a Monday, it's a bank holiday, but we just don't do a live on it. Okay, let's go back to this one, which I think's an interesting one. I think it's tricky. So we had this auction, and we are non-vulnerable against vulnerable opponents here. 1 spade, 1 heart from South on our left, 3 spades from partner. That's a preempt, pretty much what you'd expect as an opening preempt. Non-vulnerable against vulnerable. What's your style at that vulnerability, particularly when the opponents have opened? It's I can be quite aggressive at that. It goes 4 hearts from North, 4 spades from East, and it goes past 5 hearts. So sorry, not past, 5 hearts from South. So you thought 4 spades was the decision you had to make, but it turns out you've got another decision to make. And you know, this is where I love playing bridge live rather than online, because live you get a much fairer idea of what's going on in terms of how confident South is when he bids 5 hearts. So, you know, a good, confident, quick and confident 5 heart bid by South would suggest to me that South expects to make 5 hearts. A pause for thought, long think, and then 5 hearts from South. Now notice I'm allowed to know this. If my opponent's doing the thinking or the not thinking, I'm allowed to work out what I think I gain from that knowledge. So if I think 5 hearts is bidding confidently, I'm thinking he can make it. Maybe if he takes his time over it, he might be thinking, well, I've got a doubleton spade in my hand, maybe we've got 2 spade losers. So I think there's an element of guesswork. The most important thing here is I do not want you doubling 5 hearts. It's really important that, because you have no idea whether it's making. The one important thing is that at least you've pushed them from 4 hearts to 5 hearts. So you have made it more difficult for them. I'm going to be honest, I would feel that if South bid 5 hearts pretty confidently, I would tend to feel that one of them has a singleton spade. So if South had 3 spades, for example, he'd be pretty confident his partner was short, and if he had a singleton himself, he would be confident. So if I think they've got a singleton spade, do I think they're making 5 hearts? If in doubt, I give my partner King, Queen, Jack to 7. That's always my philosophy here, particularly at this vulnerability. I hate a partner who does a preempt in this kind of position with King to 7, King outside and a Queen outside. And I often show that in my seminar. Be really careful when you've got lots of little high cards in the other suits, because partner won't expect them. At this vulnerability, he might even be more aggressive. How many tricks do you expect to make in 5 spades? That's the first thing. I think it's not unreasonable to hope to make at least 8 tricks, if not 9. Okay, with 8 tricks, are you happy what the score is? 5 spades doubled minus 3 is 500 as against 650. So that's actually a reasonable gain. Hopefully if we make another trick, that's 300 against 650. It's complicated when you're doing teams, because we did mention that, because you've got to work out the swings either way. So if you bid 5 spades, you're going to get doubled. You know, let's say you give 500 away. let's give it 300 away on average. Well, if the opponents make, you gain 350. If they had gone down, you'd have lost 400. So that's interesting playing teams. Playing pairs, it's simply, if you're right, you're right, and if you're wrong, you're wrong. Bear in mind that if you put them up to 5 hearts, you may have gained. Some people might not have overcalled on West's hand, and some people might not have raised to 4 spades on your hand. So the fact that you've pushed them up to 5 hearts is good. Why am I never doubling? The reason is because if they go down in 5 hearts, I've often got a good score. But if I've pushed them up to 5 hearts, I think sometimes they will go off and sometimes they'll make. If they make, well, I just get a normal score. 4 hearts plus 1 is the same as 5 hearts. Whereas if I double them and they make, I've just given myself a complete bottom. So let me just show you the full hand, and you know, I'll let you decide what you think you should have bid. But here's the auction. It went 1 heart, 3 spades by West. 4 hearts from North. So 4 hearts has taken North out of his comfort zone. And that's important. So North is out of his comfort zone. He is stretched. It went 4 spades from you. However, South is very much in his comfort zone. He did not want to bid 5 clubs or 5 diamonds because he feels that in this kind of auction that might show a second suit. Okay. But South is thinking, I mean, there could be a slam. I mean, from South's point of view, his partner could have had, I don't know, if you change the North's Queen of Diamonds to the Ace of Clubs, he's got 10 points. I'm not sure he's going to bid any more than 4 hearts. And with the Ace of Clubs there instead of the Queen of Diamonds, they are going to make a slam. Is that another reason for not bidding 5 spades? I don't think so, because you've got 2 aces. So bidding 5 spades is okay here. Okay, it's okay. And it will work on this hand. So I'll put it in there for you. Let's say you bid 5 spades here. It will work. It's going to go 5 spades, I think, doubled, passed out. And you can see straight off the top that you've got 8 tricks. And you can also, I hope, see that they are going to make 5 hearts. Okay, it's not that clear. Oh no, they can discard a club. Yes, so I think most of the time, you know, here they're just going to lead a club up to the king. And they'll make, and with the hearts breaking 2-2, they're going to make quite easily. But they'll make 11 tricks, so that's 650. 5 spades doubled minus 3 would be 500. Should the defenders get the defence right? I think they should. I think they should possibly lead a heart and switch to trumps. And as long as they lead trumps, they will be able to stop you roughing a club in dummy. So it looks like you're set for 9 tricks. And against some defenders, you will make 9 tricks. And that would only be 300, which is a big gain. A big gain. But if the defenders get it right, I think you will literally only make the 8 tricks you were dealt, as it were. It depends on your style of preempting here. But I think 5 spades might be you taking the last guess. There's an expression that experts like to use, which is try to avoid making the last guess. 4 spades was a confident bid. 5 hearts, was that a guess or not? And that's what I mean. If South had to think before bidding 5 hearts, then you think, well, maybe he's guessing. Maybe here he's not guessing. Maybe he's thinking about trying for slam, because I think he's pretty sure his partner's got a singleton in spades. Can you see that? Okay, here, when you've got 3 and your opponents have bid aggressively to 4 spades, it's not unreasonable to think partner's got 0 or 1. And so South has got a pretty good hand. So that's an interesting, because I don't think I gave you an answer there. The answer for me was not to double. It's going to depend on your style a lot. And depending on how you feel about life. If you like to play more hands than you don't as a partnership, then bid 5 spades. But I think I'm siding for par, so I wouldn't have got the best score there. 5 spades would have got you the best score on the hand. But those hands are, as I say, they're never going to be 100%. You just want to be on the right side of them for the most part. Okay. Okay, I think it's time to pretty much finish. So there's your bidding quiz for the week. 3 spades by East. Your partner, 4 clubs overcall. Okay, 3 spades by East, 4 clubs overcall. And it's your bid. So that's an unusual one, I think. North, South are vulnerable. So your opponents are vulnerable. You are not. And it's your bid. Yeah, so good luck with that one. 3 spades, 4 clubs, and it's your bid. You can see, of course, the answer on the website, whether you're a member or not. And don't forget, even when I'm away next week, there is a bidding quiz, which you can see as well. So don't forget to have a look at that. So I hope you enjoyed that. That's Q bidding, more Q bidding in Slam May. Do carry on trying either set hands or the big seminar on the site. And if you're not a member of the site, don't forget, it's time that you joined us. Okay, remember, you can join just for 1 week, for 1 month, and just cancel straight afterwards, or you can keep with us as long as you like. We are going to shift in a second to the novice and beginners. So have a nice weekend. Another nice week. Don't forget, we've got the prize teams on Wednesday, and we've got our Friday live as well, but we're not here next Monday. Quick mention on the other cruise that I had here that listed, which is going into 2025. That sounds a long way away, but there's a trip to Spain and North Africa there. Okay, what we're looking at now is, boom, I've just got to move us onto it, is signals. And now this is signals for novices. Novices and beginners. So what on earth are signals? Well, let's have a look. When you get the lead later in the hand, wouldn't it be nice if your partner told you what to lead? So imagine you could talk to each other and you got the lead, you've won the ace of clubs or something, and partner goes, "Oh, partner, can you lead a diamond, please?" That would make your life a lot easier. There are times, believe it or not, that he can. Okay, so let's look at that. So this is a very straightforward hand. You can see, hopefully, there's going to be 3 no trumps by South. We can't see the South hand, don't forget. You're going to be the opening leader, and hopefully you're going to guess what the right lead is here. I always like to give you a chance on some of these hands. Hopefully anybody, even if you'd never been taught anything, would know what to lead as long as they knew the order of the cards, as in which is the highest. So 3 no trumps by South, you're on opening lead, and you are going to play the ace of spades, followed by the king, followed by the queen or the jack. You can actually play them in any order you wish. You could play the jack first if you so wished. Okay, you'd give everybody a surprise when you won the trick. But you're going to take the first 4 tricks. Remember, it's no trumps, nobody can ruff. So you will definitely win the first 4 tricks. Okay. However, what do you do after that? Does that make sense? You take the first 4 spade tricks, and the question is, so I've taken them away, what do you do next? And to be honest, it's guesswork, isn't it? If we're just looking at the dummy, I don't know what we do. I mean, what card should I lead? I guess if you looked at dummy, you'd probably choose the diamond. You're sort of playing blind, as it were. However, as you might have guessed, we're going to discover that partner did not follow suit on the 4th round of spades. And so he's going to have the opportunity to have thrown a card. So we're going to look at what's called an attitude signal, which means where you say whether you like something or not. You give your attitude, as it were. Now, the first thing is important, and I'm sure you know this, or I hope you do, but you are not allowed to use your body to make signals. I often joke about them naughtily in seminars. I'll often say, yep, tap of the shoulder shows that I've got a spade singleton. Okay, and that's not allowed. And now, as beginners, as children, sometimes we would teach children to to actually do physical signals so they can have the fun of it, and then change away from those to do what are legal signals, which is using your cards. So you're not allowed to use physical actions, touching your shoulder, nodding your head or anything like that, or even winking or touching your diamond ring. Okay, you can only use the cards in your hand. Okay, so that's important. Okay. Okay. So let's look at the fourth round of spades. When you led the jack of spades, your partner threw away. So let's see what he threw. He chose to throw the 9 of hearts. Now the key is, it's all well and good saying your partner can throw any card, but we've got to have a system in place. And the system, the most natural system, what I call natural, is to say something loud to say you like it. And what do I mean by that? Well, I mean to throw a high card to say, yes, partner, let's go for it. High, I like. Low, no thanks, partner, not interested. So high says I like, low says no. In fact, the way I often say to try and remember it as a beginner is high, I, low, no. Okay. Now, what do I mean by a high card? Well, we mean spot cards. The ace, king, queen and jack we don't generally discard. We're talking about the cards between 2 and 9 or 2 and 10. Okay. So any card close to a 10 would be high. Any card close to the 2 would be low. Does that make sense? So if you were choosing to discard perhaps from this holding and you wanted your partner to lead this suit, what do you think you might discard? Hopefully you would choose the 9. Partner, I like the suit that I'm discarding, please lead it. Or if you held this suit and you were not interested in partner leading it, you would play your lowest, the 2. Partner, not interested, don't lead this one, no point. Okay. Now this is what is called natural signals. You can play all sorts of signals, so do bear that in mind. A bit like the system that we've taught, that we teach in bidding, there are lots of different systems of bidding that you can be taught, so bear that in mind. This is natural. You will sometimes come across something called a reverse attitude or reverse signals. It's where you do the complete opposite. Okay, we're not talking about that here. We're talking about what we call basic or standard signals, where you give high cards, suggest I like, low, no. High for I, low for no. Okay, so let's go back to this hand. Partner's thrown the 9 of hearts. I think he likes hearts, so I am going to choose to lead a heart. Does that make sense? And as luck would have it, or not, because partner told us to lead it, he does indeed have the ace. And don't forget, we took the first 4 tricks with spades, so the ace of hearts takes 3 no trumps down. Okay, there's the full hand. Okay, and here you can see there are 4 spades and the ace of hearts. Equally, if you look at the hands, you can see that De Clara has 9 tricks off the top. So we took 5 tricks, but De Clara could have made, if we gave him the chance, he would have taken 5 diamonds and 4 clubs. So it was really important that East gave us a clear signal, because after the ace, king, queen, jack of spades, if we had played a diamond or a club, South could have taken the rest of the tricks. Ace, king, queen, jack of clubs, and the ace, king, queen, jack, 10 of diamonds. So quite often you'll find that a signal is necessary. Not hugely important, and you can play without signals for quite a long time, but understanding what a signal is important. It is using the cards in your hand to try to say, partner, do this. So for example, East, if East didn't have a high card, maybe East had the queen of hearts or something like that, he would probably have discarded the lowest diamond, the 2 of diamonds. Partner, not particularly interested in a diamond lead here. Okay, does that make sense? But he had a clear thing. Here, having seen you take 4 spade tricks, he knew that if you led a heart, the contract would go down. So he threw the 9 of hearts to say, partner, come on, lead a heart, and we have won the contract. So I hope you enjoyed that. That's a little introduction to signals. Okay, and it should increase the fun you can have playing defending, because actually being able to signal means the person who's a little bit weaker can actually do something to help their partner. I hope you enjoyed that, and see you again soon.